Our story last ended with Vegito and Gogeta teaming up together to defeat the mighty Frieza. And with Frieza defeated, there was a time of peace. Trunks would still arrive from his original future timeline, but he was surprised to see that he couldn't find Goku at the landing point where Goku originally came from planet Yardrat. He didn't see nobody around. He waited for hours and Goku never landed, which confused him. He can sense two very high power levels. He decides to go where Goku lives. Arriving at Chi-Chi's home, he was shocked to see Gogeta there, and he was shocked. He says, well, where's Goku? As he doesn't recognize this man. And Chi-Chi would explain, what do you mean? That's my husband, Gogeta. And Trunks is trying to piece it together. He said, do you know of a man by the name of Goku? Is he around? And they have no clue who he is. Now, this, of course, shocks Trunks, and this doesn't make any sense, but he just can't get a head around. He says, so you don't know anybody with the name of Goku, Son Goku. You know, Goku, everyone knows him. They got no clue. Gogeta says, I have no clue who you're talking about. And he says, now, who are you? Now, Trunks doesn't really have a choice, as by this point, Vegito would also arrive, confusing Trunks even further. Who is this man? He's never seen him before. As Vegito says, who are you? And he says, I'm Vegito, and who are you? And his mind is confuzzled. Trunks would then explain to two of them privately who he is, but he does want to see if he can trust them, as he would ask them to spar with him. Now, he would go Super Saiyan, and in their base forms, mind you, Vegito and Gogeta are stronger than Trunks, so Trunks doesn't really do anything. They block him with a finger, just like how Goku did, and that goes to them the same. Now, Trunks would trust them, and he explains what happens. He says he doesn't know what's wrong, but there's a man by the name of Goku. He explains who Goku is. He says maybe if you can find him, that'll be great, because he's due to have the heart virus. He also explains that he is from the future, where these powerful androids have come, and they've destroyed everything. In about 3 years' time, they will be arriving. And Trunks says, you all need to be ready. And he says, if he can find Goku somehow, he would also be the key to help beating the androids. But you guys are very powerful, even stronger than the androids that I faced. You might be able to defeat them when they do arrive. So Vegito and Gogeta would agree, and Piccolo was also tuning at the time. So they would all agree with this, and they would then leave. So for the next 3 years, Gogeta will be doing his own thing, training Piccolo, Gohan, etc. And Vegeta will be doing his own thing, training as well. So 3 years would then pass, just like the original, the androids would then arrive. But it was not what you guys imagine. While it was Dr. Gero who was there, but Dr. Gero was actually different. He was still an android, but his power level was way higher than the original. And he didn't have Android 19 there. You see, Dr. Gero already had 17 and 18 programmed and ready. Now, 17 and 18 here are absurdly powerful. Now, Dr. Gero has just taken them out of the lab and just activated them. Now, when the Z Fighters do land, Vegito notices that Gogeta is acting a little strange. He's breathing weird, he's sweating, something doesn't really seem right, but they ignore that. As Dr. Gero would then summon the two androids, they would then awaken. They would then kill Dr. Gero right in front of them with ease. Even though Dr. Gero was stronger, 17 and 18 are a whole other level than you guys imagine. They would then look to the Z Fighters, and they were interested in fighting them. And so the fight would then commence, as their goal was to kill Gogeta. That was their goal. Now, Gogeta would begin fighting 17 or 18, or same with Vegito, they would all team up. The problem is, these androids were absurdly strong. Even as Super Saiyans, they were struggling, as these androids were beating them in their fight, giving Vegito the broken arm treatment. Gogeta begins to breathe heavier and heavier, as something is wrong, and he then realizes, is it that heart virus that Trunks talked about? Is he this Goku guy? But something's happening. He's suffering the heart disease. For people who don't know, the heart disease is a earthbound disease. Bulma talked about it in the future timeline and more, about how the heart virus was actually a disease that a lot of people actually caught. Goku, unfortunately, was one of them. And so yes, technically, Gogeta can still get it. Vegito did not get it, so either way, Gogeta would go down. Yamcha and the others would then carry Gogeta off to go give him the heart virus medicine on Master Roshi's island. Vegito, even as a Super Saiyan, showing how strong they are, the androids are a whole other level. They beat Vegito? And the other Z Fighters don't stand a chance. But the androids are different here. They're not as evil as Trunks has explained in his future, as Trunks was defeated easily as well as he arrived to help them fight. But these androids were different. Trunks explains that these androids, something about them, these androids are thousands, if not hundreds more stronger. His mind is baffled. He doesn't even know what to say. So, how did him going back change this much? Gogeta gets this heart virus and there's no Goku or nothing, and these androids are different. They're so strong compared to the old ones that he fought in his timeline. But they're not. Why are they sparing them? The androids would have slaughtered us all. And that's exactly what happens. The androids spare the Z Fighters. They beat Gogeta severely, and same with Vegito. Vegeta was beaten worse because he had both his arms broken, but with a quick sensu bean he was fine. Now Vegeta was furious as he wants his revenge, but Trunks tells him that that's not going to work. Did you not see what happened? You lost to one of them. Imagine if they both team up. What are you going to do? And so, yes, Cell is also in this timeline, but he's from the future Cell, but that's carrying on. So he is the Cell that we all know. He's a normal Cell, but now he's lurking around trying to find these androids. Now the one difference here is Piccolo. What has Piccolo been up to during these 3 years? Well, there's still Kami, and would Piccolo fuse with Kami? Well, theoretically, yes, because mind you, Piccolo's still around, but would Piccolo fuse with Kami, though, and would that really make much of a difference? Well, Piccolo's been training with Gogeta the whole time. Piccolo has warmed up, he's gotten better, he's hanging out with Gohan, and Gohan is also one of the stars of the show. You see, Gohan is very strong, but he's also been studying a little bit as well. He's the same Gohan that we know, he just kind of has more potential. But he can't match these androids. Now, Piccolo has something up his sleeve, but the problem is, when he activated this power, he can't access it yet. He needs to fuse with Kami for this. So during the 3 years, they did find Dende, as Piccolo found out about Namek. So what happened was Piccolo seen that he was lagging behind Gogeta and the others, and he doesn't want to feel as worthless. It's still Piccolo after all. So he decides to tell Kami that he will decide to fuse with him, and Kami says fine, but the Dragon Balls will be useless. Kami then tells Piccolo to find a replacement for him and see if Piccolo's worthy of doing this. Piccolo would then go to Namek, where the Elder Namekians, they accepted Piccolo, even though he had darkness in his heart. You could tell that Piccolo was trying to do better, and they agreed. So not only did they let them have Dende, he then used their Dragon Balls to wish instantly back to Earth during the 3-year period. Dende was quickly adjusted to Earth, Piccolo would then fuse with him, and then over the course of the year, Dende was able to make the next set of Dragon Balls. With this, he also gave them an upgrade. Now these Dragon Balls are more powerful than the original ones, and they have password on as well, but Piccolo then asked to use one wish, and this is all that he wanted. He then asked to have his potential unlocked. With his potential unlocked, and after he fused with Kami, Piccolo is stronger than before. Now Piccolo does not have access to his orange form. Why is this? Well, the main reason is because Piccolo is not as powerful as he is in Dragon Ball Super Hero, and the Dragon Balls are not as advanced. Dende did enhance the Dragon Balls over the course of the years, making them stronger and stronger. But Shenron did not give him a little bit extra. Piccolo still has his potential unlocked for him. The reason why he went the extra mile for that wish, as Shenron did, was mainly because Piccolo had so much untapped power. He hasn't had his potential unlocked since ever. And that was many, many, many years later. This version of Piccolo's many, many, many years earlier, and he's a lot weaker. So he does get potential unlocked though. Now, if he does train hard enough, yes, he can unlock orange form. So it's not a completely gone thing. But now with his potential unleashed form, he thinks that he could battle the androids maybe one-on-one. Maybe. But he hasn't really tested out his potential unleashed form to the maximum yet, but he doesn't have a choice. So he decides to go challenge 17 right then and there. Now mind you, this is when they drag Vegito off, and Vegito and Trunks decide to train. Now, they decide to step into the Room of Spirit in time. This is when Gogeta was also recovering from the heart virus. Cell was also on the prowl, absorbing humans. This is where Cell would actually get a bit of a power up, briefly. Now, Piccolo, when he does fight Cell, Piccolo's in his base form. He battles with Cell. They kind of go at it a little bit as Cell would kind of cut him off. See, the androids dipped out. Piccolo wanted to make sure that everybody was safe afterwards because the androids kind of toyed around and beat up the Earthlings and stuff as well. So Piccolo would then chase after the androids. He would run into Cell along the way, and him and Cell would go at it a little bit. Now Cell would try to absorb some of Piccolo's power. Now Piccolo would be able to brush him off. Cell did absorb a little bit, but not enough to really stun Piccolo or cause any problems. Cell would then escape, as he realized he can't match Piccolo, but Cell is secretly following him because Piccolo is going somewhere, and he imagines maybe after the androids. So Piccolo would then find 17 and 18, and he would then challenge them. They would go to the islands where Piccolo would show off his potential unleashed form, and he would battle 17 like the original. Now, Android 17 is many leagues stronger than the original version. Although Piccolo is much more powerful, he is able to match 17 to a certain degree. He does have more skill than 17. 17 does have more raw power and speed, but Piccolo was actually able to hold his own and land a couple solid hits on 17. But 17 was starting to overwhelm Piccolo due to his power and infinite stamina, and Piccolo could not latch onto his ki because androids have no real energy. They can't be sensed. But who was watching the whole time? Cell. Cell has been watching the entire time. And the problem is, Cell would then trick them. As 17 would fly in to attack Cell, Piccolo was overwhelmed. You see, what Cell would do is Piccolo was already exhausted. Cell would be able to stun Piccolo, getting him away. When 17 flies in to attack him, he then hits them with the solar flare, blinding not only 17, but also 18. And Piccolo, who's unconscious as he just got shot through the chest. Now, Cell would then absorb Android 17. When he absorbs 17, Cell is different. Very different. It's not the second form Cell that you guys imagine. He begins to mutate. Now, he briefly turns into second form Cell as he laughs with power, but then he begins to get overcharged with energy. Mind you, this is not the normal android that Cell just absorbed. This is a much more powerful version. He then says, "What's happening to me? This power is incredible." As then red and green electricity begin to spark around him, Cell's color begins to change, more of a reddish and darker green color. As he then grows in size, Cell's a couple feet larger. He is a smaller version and controlled version of Cell Max in his second form. He then laughs at his power as he then chases after 18. Now, when Tien does try to hit him with the Tri-Beam, it does actually stun Cell. The downside, though, is would it last as long? Theoretically, no. Tien's power, you could say, might be a little bit higher because he's training more, but against a Cell Max level character, no, it really wouldn't. Maybe you could say it holds him down for a couple hours. Now, during this means that Vegito has to end his time in the Room of Spirit and Time early, but I don't think that would happen. What would happen here is it would go on for over an hour or two. Cell would then break out of the Tri-Beam hold, and he would then slap Tien to the side. He would then begin searching for Android 18, who was hiding. Now, Piccolo was recovered, and he's okay. Now, by this point, he would be able to find 18, but this time, as soon as Vegito and Trunks step out of the Hyperbolic Time Chamber and they're good to go, Cell found her, and he would then slap Krillin to the side. He would then absorb 18, becoming Perfect Cell Max. We'll just say Cell Max for short, but he's perfect. As a matter of fact, he's more than perfect. He is max perfect, perfect to the maximum. Nothing is above him now. As Cell Max here, or Cell for short, because his name is Perfect after all, he is so powerful that he shakes the entire universe with his strength. Vegito and Trunks sense it, and they are blown away with this ungodly power. Vegito and them fly off, finding Cell. Now, Vegito's had about a year to train with Trunks, mind you. Trunks is no joke either. Trunks is absurdly strong. Vegito's otherworldly strong because he's had a bunch of time to train. But unfortunately, though, against this version of Cell, this is where the story will be different, as Cell is so powerful. Now, I know people want to ask, how strong would Cell Max theoretically be in this version of the what if, comparison to like Vegito or etc. Well, Vegito, mind you, these version of the androids is a good start. The version of the androids that we have seen, they are league stronger. These version of the androids alone are already perfect cell level, if not higher. Even higher than that, actually. Now, mind you, Cell absorb these androids becomes perfect. This easily puts him above Majin Buu in terms of power, way beyond that. And we'll see how strong Cell Max actually is. Vegito is in the Buu Saga levels of power. Now, he would then battle Cell as a Super Saiyan, which he's mastered at this point, mastered Super Saiyan. And unfortunately, he does get overwhelmed. He is able to actually match Cell pretty well, and Cell's very impressed with how strong Vegito is. He's, because remember, he has the memories of the androids in the database. He's interested. And Vegito's absurdly strong. Vegito's able to actually damage Cell and hurt him in their fight. But he would then make a fatal mistake. As Vegito gets angry because Cell's mocking him, he then charges up a new attack that he's been learning. As he learned the move from Gogeta, he charges a Kamehameha. He then mixes it with a final flash, calling it a final Kamehameha. He hits Cell with this attack full force, looking like the scene when Super Vegeta hits Cell, blasting off the planet. And Cell was reduced to cells. As Vegito laughs, he can't sense his energy initially. He was then in shock to see Cell regenerating much faster than the normal Cell that we know, because he's maximum perfection. He regenerates almost like how Buu would. He regenerates so quickly. And he only had a couple of cells floating around. That's how fast he regenerated within about a minute. And Vegeta was shocked. He just couldn't move. How did he survive that? A full point-blank attack. Not, barely guarding it. And Cell survived. Not only that, Cell got a Zenkai from this. And he's constantly growing in the battle because, mind you, this version of Cell is insanely OP. He's charged up to the max. Literally. So this would mean that he would overwhelm Vegito in their matchup, who is already tired after shooting that full power attack. Trunks, of course, can turn into the Wish version of Broly, but that's okay, it wouldn't have mattered. Cell would have beaten him, but he is interested, as that attack nearly killed him, but it excited him. But he only became stronger, so they can push him to be even stronger, right? He'll give them time to get stronger as well. So he would still host the Cell Max games just like before. And with the Cell games, he gives them about 10 or so days to get stronger. And he begins building the Cell Arena. The problem is he starts having PTSD because he's remade the arena about 25 times. There's always a green square. No, every square makes a circle. It's okay. As for Gogeta, Gogeta recovered from the heart virus and he sees how powerful Cell Max is. He knows he cannot fight that version yet, so he would then step in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber with himself and his son Gohan. He knows that Gohan has insane potential and that they could beat this version of Cell. They know they can if they work together. So they train for over a year's time, they step out, and Gogeta is very powerful, as he was actually able to surpass even Vegito. How is this possible? Although Vegito is absurdly powerful, he does have more natural potential than our version of Gogeta here, but Gogeta knows how to train. He's trained with the best masters. Vegito trains kind of like how Vegeta does. He doesn't train smart, while Gogeta does. That's how he's able to one-up him. And so Gogeta does have a transformation that he's been working on and helping Gohan try to achieve, as the Cell games would then commence days later of peace as they take their time to enjoy it. Now, Cell was interested in fighting Gogeta as he already fought Vegito, so he wants to fight Gogeta. So Gogeta would then step up, as he says, if I can't beat him, Gohan, you need to step up while he's weakened and beat him for me, okay? And so the fight would then commence between the two. Gogeta would go Super Saiyan, and he would then match Cell pretty well, but Cell has the clear advantage, still being stronger than Gogeta. Gogeta says, let's even the playing field. As by this point, the Cell Games arena was more than enough destroyed, except for the green square, and by this point, Cell would explain that the rules are gone, it's just time to fight, because he's so hyped up. Now, Gogeta would then transform, showing off Super Saiyan 2 for the first time. With this power, he overwhelms Cell, beating him with little to no effort initially. Cell would then go full power, and then something happens. They then make the foolish mistake as Gogeta would then deliver a powerful gut punch to Cell. Cell would then spit out 18. Gogeta would waste no time, he would fire a full power Kamehameha, hitting this version of Cell. Now supposedly Cell was destroyed. There was nothing left. But Cell did survive. There was a single Cell remaining, as Gogeta forgot that Cell could regen like that. And also, he put a lot of power into it. Super Saiyan 2 is still new to him. As Cell would then regenerate, he's back, and he's back in his Cell Max form. Well, what are they going to do now? He's even stronger. He would then have Gohan step up alongside Vegito. They would all transform. Gohan would scream and transform into a Super Saiyan 2. As with the power teaming up, all three of them are actually able to match Cell and hold their own. But Gogeta realizes there is one way though. He would then begin forming the Spirit Bomb, while Gohan and Vegito are teaming up, battling Cell together. Vegito is on the back burner of power to complete the two, but Gohan's holding his own. As Gogeta begins charging up the Spirit Bomb, asking for the entire universe's help, he then feels the energy begin to come in. As Vegito and Gohan would then stand back, they then give all their energy to Gogeta. As Cell would see what's going on, he would try attacking Gogeta, but he would be blown back by the power alone. Gogeta then absorbs the Spirit Bomb within himself. He then flies towards Cell, and Cell would try punching him, but Android 13 style, his arm would just disappear. As Gogeta then grabs Cell and says, "You're coming with me," the power was so immense that Cell would be completely incinerated. There's no trace of Cell left. Cell Max is gone. Gogeta would be able to expel the power, but it took its toll. He would then collapse on the ground as his friends surround him. There was no sensu beans to share. Unfortunately, Gogeta would die. The power that he had to endure. Because if he threw the Spirit Bomb, the explosion would be too big and it would actually blow up everything. Because the Spirit Bomb was so powerful. And on the most dangerous part, he was worried if Cell maybe could push the Spirit Bomb back, so he had to absorb it himself. But the power was too much, and it ended up killing Gogeta, who would then die. But his body would then fade away. As Gogeta would then arrive in the other world, he then realizes that he was able to keep his body with the help of King Yama. So he then travels the other world. For the next 7 years, there was peace. Gogeta would continuously learn and grow stronger, learning new abilities and tricks, and more, as he would just do his normal thing, where he learns things such as what Goku did. Now, as for Vegito surprisingly was more angry because he failed. You see, he was mad that Gogeta surpassed him, true, and well, his son Gohan surpassed him, okay, true, but he was mainly pissed off because he was weak. He goofed around, and that in turn let Cell defeat him. He felt weak and insignificant. Vegito in a lot of ways is similar to Vegeta, but he's not angry because of selfish reasons. He's angry because he wasn't strong enough to beat this opponent. That's the whole reason why. So because of this, he then trains harder than ever for the next 7 years. So 7 years would then pass. Gohan still goes to Orange High School. He still meets Videl and, form a little relationship, as Gohan did kind of slack off on his training. Now Goten would still be born, and his potential was actually even higher than Gohan's, and he likes to train. Now Goten is actually absurdly powerful, only being 7 years old. Now there is Trunks in this timeline, or you can even say Bra if you want to be born first, but I like to say Trunks. But even if it's Bra, she would be like the Bra from the Dragon Ball Multiverse comic if you guys have ever seen it. She's very strong, as she does have Super Saiyan by this point. Not Super Saiyan 2 just yet, as she's in the similar age group. As she's a little bit older, she's around 8 years old. Goten is around 7. They're almost like a brother and sister dynamic, and they butt heads a lot, and it's hilarious. But naturally, Goten is actually stronger than her, because with the help of Chi-Chi and Gogeta's natural genes, Goten's absurd, and he likes to train all the time. Now, the two would fight in the junior division, where who would come out on top? It would actually be Goten. It was a very close fight, though, but both of them going Super Saiyan, Goten was able to beat her very close. But she demands that she will fight him again, and she'll be the victor next time. Now, Gogeta was given 24 hours with the help of Baba, and he was then sent back to Earth, where he would meet all of his family and friends. That is where they meet the Supreme Kai. Now, the Supreme Kai would then meet Gogeta and Vegito personally. He would explain about Babidi, and he says, there's much more I need to discuss with you, but all in due time. As Gohan would still see Videl get beat up by Spopovich, and he would then transform into a Super Saiyan 2. Now, mind you, although Gohan has been kind of slacking off, this version of Gohan is much more powerful than the original, by leagues and bounds. So, when he has his energy taken, they follow it to Babidi's ship. This, on the way there, the Supreme Kai explains everything. He explains about the fusions and what they mean. Well, he explains to them about the history between the Metamorians, who sadly have kind of disappeared now, and between the Kais. I explained that Vegito was kind of their creation, and they did help make Gogeta as well, but it was based off the Metamorian design, and seeing which one is better. Now, Vegito says, well, clearly I'm the better one, and he says theoretically yes, but you don't know. And he says that you guys were destined to be the universe defenders in the end, and you guys have done amazing. And he says, but we need to defeat Majin Buu, and then maybe we can help Gogeta here get his life back. Maybe. There might be a way. And so they would arrive at Babidi's ship. Unfortunately for them, they would then sense a very high power level appear. It was Majin Buu. Why is this? Well, because Gohan's power level is leaps and bounds higher than the original, and having his energy stolen, Gohan basically fueled Majin Buu without the need of a Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Majin Vegeta. So because of this, Majin Buu or Fat Buu will still be born. Now, Vegito wants to fight Fat Buu first, but Gogeta says, no, let me fight, because he explains that in the end, you're gonna, we can defeat him pretty easy. Fat Buu is nothing to these guys. They are way above Fat Buu in terms of power. And Gogeta senses that he's not all evil, he's more like a naughty child. He doesn't know any better. So he says, let me have some fun before I have to go back, at least. And Vegito says, fine by me, go right on ahead. And so Gogeta would then battle him. He would go Super Saiyan and fight Fat Buu with literally zero effort. Fat Buu would get tossed around. He then tells Fat Buu that you don't have to listen to Babidi no more if you don't really want to. And so he would turn on Babidi and probably kill him, or Piccolo would probably cut him in half. Now, the thing with Fat Buu, though, is he's getting angrier and angrier as Gogeta's fighting him. Gogeta then feels like something's about to happen. He feels a pull, like something's changing. As Buu would get so angry and conflicted, he would then split into two, much faster than the original, days faster. And who is this, you might add? Well, it's Evil Buu. They're in shock to see Evil Buu then turn on Fat Buu. He would then absorb Fat Buu, becoming Super Buu, and his power has amplified tenfold. Now, Gogeta was surprised to see this. Super Buu then laughs and waves his finger at Gogeta to come fight him. And Gogeta says, oh man, this is crazy. But then something begins to happen as Gogeta begins to fade away. He says, wait, what? I'm going back already? And he says, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Now, why is Gogeta going back to the other world much faster? Well, the reason why is because of his raw power. Remember, Baba especially stated that Goku, the more power that you use, the shorter time I can keep you on Earth. Goku, even using Super Saiyan 3, shortened his time much faster, and it only lasted a couple hours and he had to leave. So imagine a Gogeta turning Super Saiyan, who is way stronger than Buuhan, plus leagues above that. What do you think would happen? That's why. And he failed to realize that. So he does go back. Now, he would say, blast it, man, I was just having fun. And he kind of missed it. He kind of forgot his time. He should have stayed in base form. He might be able to beat Super Buu then, no problem. But he says, but it's okay. Vegeta will handle it. He's way more than enough. Now, Vegeta was mad because he wanted to fight Gogeta before he left. And he says, well, I guess fate is against us anyway. And he says, but don't worry, I'll handle this Buu guy, no problem. He then toys with Super Buu. Even in base form, he kicks him around. He treats him like how he treated Buuhan. But Buu is not an idiot. He's waiting for Vegito. Vegito's mocking him and toying around. Now, Gogeta, by this point, he is in the other world. And he's in the Supreme Kai world by this point. And the Supreme Kai did help him release out the Z-Sword. And while this is happening, and Gogeta's messing around with the Z-Sword, swinging it around in a funny way because it's with ease, he's kind of asked the Supreme Kai what's happening as he's looking at the crystal ball. And he says, oh, Vegeto's just toying with Super Buu. And Gogeta says, well, that's his problem as he swings the blade around. He toys around too much, but he should be able to beat him, no problem. I'm fully comfortable. He's just testing the water, then he's trying to beat him in a single blow. And Vegito then prepares to end Super Buu as he has pretty much been tearing him apart with ease. Super Buu then tricks him. As then, Super Buu then latches onto him and covers him in the pink goo, and Vegito is then absorbed. As Gogeta, while he was swinging the sword, says, "So how's it going?" As Supreme Kai gasped when he said, "Oh man, did he blast him away? Oh, that's so cool." And he says, "No, he just absorbed Vegito." And Gogeta then swings the sword so hard, he actually shatters it on the ground. And he says, "He did what?" And then the Supreme Kai not only screamed at Vegito being absorbed, he then screamed and he said, "What did you do to the Z-Sword? You just broke the Z-Sword." And he says, "I didn't break." "Oh shit, I did. My bad." He says, "But Vegito's absorbed. I gotta go back there." And he says, "There has to be a way to get me back there. Maybe Baba can cut me, a couple minutes at least or something." But then a voice would then speak saying, "You guys rush too fast at things." And behind them was Elder Kai. Elder Kai would then explain that, "Well, I can get you there, no problem." And he says, "Oh wait, you can? I don't know who you are, old dude, but if you can get me there, please. I need to get there quickly before this Buu thing will destroy everything." And he says, "I can." And he says, "But one condition." And he says, "What?" And then he explains who he is. He's Elder Kai, and the Supreme Kai respects him a lot. He explains, "What I can do is I can give you my life." He explains he was trapped in the Z-Sword, and he explains that he gives you his life, you must end Buu. And he says, "But if you can save Vegito, I need him." And he says, "Oh, okay, that's it? Okay, fine by me." And so in turn, he would then give his life to Gogeta. Gogeta would then be given life as he then goes to fight Super Buu. Now, he would have instant transmission, as he has a few tricks up his sleeve. How does he have instant transmission? He learned it from one of the Yardrats in the other world. And he has a few other tricks up his sleeve, but we'll see them in the later part of the stories. As, I guess you could say, Vegibuu, Vegito Buu, or you can just say Buu, Vegito absorb. Super Buu would then laugh and mock Gogeta, saying, "Finally, I was wondering where you went, but now you're back here and I can really give you the fight I've been looking for." And he says, "Wow, that's impressive. You absorbed my friend." And he says, "I know everything about you. I know all your moves, everything, and I'm the superior Majin." And he says, "Oh, is that so?" He says, "Well, let's see what you can do." He then transforms into a Super Saiyan and Gogeta, I guess you can call him that, or Vegito. But Super Buu would overwhelm Gogeta. He then laughs and says, "That's impressive. I almost felt that one." He then says, "But how about I show you something that I've been working on? Something that'll make you interesting." So he then goes Super Saiyan 2, and he's actually a pretty even match for Super Buu at this point. And Super says, "Is this your power? Because I'll overwhelm you no matter what." And he says, "Now I'm going to show you." He begins to scream and transform. Not for 5 minutes this time. His hair begins to grow. He transforms into a Super Saiyan 3, something that Vegito hasn't even done yet. And with this, because of the otherworld training, he can train infinitely with no stamina problems. With this power, he's dead serious. As he says, "We can just wish him back with the Dragon Balls. I will do what I must to end this." And so, he would absolutely dominate Super Buu, and he's overwhelmed. As he would then form a Stardust Breaker, he's not toying around. This is Gogeta we're talking about. He would actually kill Super Buu. Although it pained him because Vegito is inside, he knows that this is what he must do. As he wouldn't trust absorbing him because it could be too dangerous, so he kills Super Buu. And with this, they would just use the Dragon Balls to then wish Vegito back to life. That's okay. Now with Vegito back to life, they would then be in Supreme Kai's land, where Vegeta would start mocking his head, telling him, you had Super Saiyan 3 and you didn't tell me about it? And he said, "Well, I mean, I was kind of going to show you when we fight, but, I didn't have a choice." And Vegeta was angry, but Elder Kai said, "Well, there is something that I can do for you." And he says, "This will be for Vegito only because he is the special experiment." And he says that you have your own path, Gogeta. And he explains that he will unlock Vegito's latent potential. And Vegito says, "Ha, joke's on you, Gogeta. I get a power-up and you don't. Sucks to be you, huh?" And Gogeta then sticks his tongue out at him. And Elder Kai would then do the ritual, begin dancing around Vegito, who's impatient, waiting for hours on end. But when it ends, Vegito unlocks Mystic. his power was absurd, and he challenges Gogeta to a match immediately. And Gogeta would never turn down a fight. He transforms into a Super Saiyan 3, Vegito in his mystic form. The two then clash on Kai's world, shaking the whole planet. And unfortunately for Gogeta, he gets defeated. Vegito one-ups him. Although he did land some blows on Vegito and held his own pretty okay, Vegito was clearly much more powerful. He was in a league of his own, and he knocked down Gogeta, but he helped him back up and pat his back, saying, hey, maybe you'll find something new. We can fight each other again someday. And he says, yeah, that'll be cool. And so, that is it for part 2 of this What If, you guys. Thank y'all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think down below, as I have a lot of fun stuff for the finale. It's going to be very interesting to see, and you guys are going to really like it. And especially seeing these two characters, there's going to be some insane stuff. But anyway, thank y'all for the support. I really do appreciate it. You guys are the best. Unless you did 50,000 subscribers, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.